Tonight we're going to look at this video posted on Danny Jones Clips YouTube channel with Dan Farah interview talking about how the government is summoning UFOs. We'll also listen to, I'm pretty sure it's from Weaponized with Georgia Knapp talking with the guy on, in the video footage of him summoning UFOs. This is a strange thing that is now common. Not just that people are admitting that UFOs exist, they're real. UAPs exist. It's not swamp gas or weather balloons. And not only that now, but these people are summoning them somehow. So let's listen to a little bit of the insight. Dan Farah, he was just released this UFO documentary. Let's take a listen what he has to say here.
Haven't they used nukes to try to like bait the UFOs in?
Yeah, so that's one of the really fascinating things that my interview subject shared. And a long time ago, they realized folks involved in covering this up in the Legacy program and in other, areas like the Navy, they learned that nuclear footprints attract these things. They're paying attention to our nuclear progress and to what we do with nuclear technology. Mm-hmm. And so they started creating environments that would attract UAP and lure them in. And then they could collect data and get information that would help them in their technology race. I do believe that my understanding is some lines were crossed where they also caused some of these crashes. They would lure them in and they would create circumstances that would cause some crashes, which seems like a pretty risky decision. But
isn't it kind of hard to imagine, though, that these things can actually travel from interstellar space, other galaxies? They're definitely not just traveling here by rockets or folding space. The same thing that they're doing, how they're maneuvering in our skies in unexplained ways. They're here 1 second, they're gone the next, and then they're crashing here. I mean, come on. That's why people have to come up with the theory that they're being donated to us. They're donating us technology. But then David Grush says that there's been non-human biologics found. So did they just pick out the gray who they like the least and then send him on the Earth mission and crash his UFO? I don't know. This stuff isn't adding up. I don't know why they're focusing around nuclear stuff, but it's not just that. They're focusing around a lot of different things. And then even the guys who are summoning UFOs, which we'll watch, why are they focusing around them? They seem to be more interested in these guys than they are around the nuclear stuff. So what is going on exactly?
At the same time, I think my understanding is that adversarial nations have done this and do this. So that so if we don't do it, then we would fall behind. Yeah. Again, one of those like examples of this being a super complicated situation, sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't in any part of this whole conversation.
Right.
And I found that fascinating. Interestingly, I just learned through some of my relationships in the government right now that some of the intelligence officials who have been tasked with identifying what evidence can be lawfully disclosed following President Trump's directive, some of them learned that various agencies and branches of the military had been luring these things in the past and that they had figured out how to do that. And these intelligence officials asked for a demonstration of that as recent as a couple weeks ago and apparently saw with their own eyes UAP.
So they're being lured in. This is probably why they do focus on guys like Chris Bledsoe, a lot of other people, even the Skywatch guys. The one guy, Mike Batista's Green Beret, former Green Beret. A lot of those guys, ex-military. And it's strange that the world of these guys who are, ex-military or involved in the military, involved in the Pentagon, involved in CIA stuff, are also now bridging this gap into New Age spirituality and being involved in that stuff, really just doctrines of demons. And these are the guys who are summoning UFOs, orbs pretty much. They are flying object, I guess, but it's really an orb. It's not a craft, really. There's only a few people who say they've seen them, and whatever reason they manifest like that. But mainly the people are summoning orbs, and it's like, yeah, what's going on there? It's not adding up with the whole physical phenomenon. That's why the government is probably doing what they're doing. We got the UFO, we got disclosure with these images. The most compelling video turns out to be something connected to a parachute, very obviously, which I mentioned on my other channel. It's like, so what exactly is going on here with this whole thing? And they're just trying to figure out how to control the phenomenon and how to dial into it before they make any sort of claims. I mean, they want Russia and China and these other nations to all think that this is maybe our technology, and we just haven't told anybody that we have this stuff yet. But this is why the government is being involved with, a lot of different stuff, with remote viewing, with astral projection, trying to come in contact with these orbs because they want to control this phenomenon. And I don't know, maybe it's just not time yet. It's not time for those end times events to happen exactly. Is there a big magnet and particle accelerator and nukes at Oak Ridge, Andrew? I'm not super aware on that location. Yeah, I don't know that if they tried the Blue Beam, Project Blue Beam, it's hard to know if they could even, pull that off. There's been events in our history where definitely the government had their hands in it and either allowed it or did what caused it, and their fingerprints are all over it. If they tried to do a fake and alien thing, I think it would be so obvious. I don't know if they could do that.
I was told this in confidence.
They might try though,
by a couple people within the last couple weeks, and then interestingly, Congressman Burleson, who also had learned this, shared it on a podcast, I think last week, a few days ago, that he had heard the same thing. If true, pretty shocking.
Who were they showing this to?
So it was some of the intelligence officials tasked by a member of the current cabinet to uncover evidence that can be declassified. Trump gives a directive. We need to identify what evidence exists that can be declassified, right? So then he tells certain cabinet members, get on that, right? And then they have their teams go and shake those trees. And in that process, apparently, some of them were given a demonstration on how UAP can be lured in.
On how to lure them in.
Yeah, and apparently saw it with their own eyes, which was a game changer.
And Burleson said this on a podcast.
Yeah, I had heard this from multiple sources prior to Burleson saying it on a podcast.
Recently?
Yeah, within the last couple weeks.
Wow.
And then it was 3 or 4 days ago, Congressman Burleson said it on a podcast. I was just going to keep it to myself, but then he brought it up. So there you go. It's interesting.
How were they luring
If that's true,
them?
if that really happened, it's a pretty...
Is this the psionic stuff?
Incredible escalation. I honestly don't know how they actually did.
I'm sure it's the psionic thing. That is the thing. That's how they're doing it. Certain people have this psionic ability. They can manifest these orbs. They have the relationships with these orbs in the sky, and that's what they're doing. Now the government is trying to be involved with these people, not just Bledsoe, not Stephen Greer, a lot of different people. The Skywatch team. Skywatch seems to be a big player in that. That's probably why they've gone silent, because they're probably doing a lot of stuff secretly with the government. That's why they're not posting their stuff on YouTube anymore. But they've been involved with that for sure. And I think that's just what they're continuing to do. They're just trying to figure out how to psionically control this thing, which is why all of these people involved in the UFO community are doing everything they can to summon. And it's just so weird that they think that, aliens from another planet would even care enough to come and summon when somebody just goes out and thinks about these things. It just makes zero sense. T Durden, gonna respond to you here in a minute, man. I just pray definitely you should stop what you're saying. You know that's the right thing. You shouldn't be doing that all day long, man. Definitely not the way to be. Sorry you're going through a tough time, but I pray that you will, step away from that in Jesus' name and find, the help you really need, which is just through Jesus Christ. And we all need the help of Jesus, and it's found through him. That's where the true peace and the true help to our answers and our situations come from him.
Did it. And the people I've talked to,
I'm sure
such as Jay Stratton, have told me that in the past nuclear footprints were used. So you could put a nuclear submarine in a certain area, and nearby it you could put.
As far as the CE5 stuff, do not do that. No one should be doing CE5. That is spiritual. That's witchcraft. It's occult stuff. Like, you can stop doing it today. You don't have to be scared. You're not like on Team Satan now or something. Like, don't freak out. Just stop doing it now for sure. It is not right. It is witchcraft is what it is. These guys, I don't know how they don't put 2 and 2 together, but you can look at everything. That's why I say the New Age all the time, which is just, it's the occult, it's witchcraft, it's New Age spirituality. It's all connected. It is. It's all connected. Outside of Christianity, every religion is just witchcraft in the occult, whether people realize it or not. And it gets, very advanced, more advanced and more evil the further you go into different areas of it. But CE5 with the meditation and the tones and the calling out into the sky for stuff to show up, that is not right to do, man. So definitely stop doing that. You don't want, there's nothing to get, you gain nothing from it. You gain nothing from it. I had the orbs following me around before too. I had the ability to summon them. I wouldn't say I summoned them. I just felt that I knew when they were there, and then I would go look and there they were. It wasn't that I was like calling them into existence, but sometimes I would sit and stare in certain areas of the sky and like look for them to come, and they would come sometimes. They'd come every single day, one way or another, mainly at night, but almost always at night actually, certain times of the night. But yeah, man, the C5 is not good. It's how it's, and you gain nothing from it. You gain nothing from having them around. They're not good. There's nothing good from them. So please stop doing that, man. For your benefit, I really hope and pray you'll stop doing that. Yeah, C5 is Close Encounter of the Fifth Kind, and then Stephen Greer has an app you can download to try to, what you can do to contact these things and the type of spirituality stuff you can do. This pretty much, whether they realize it or not, the witchcraft that they can do to summon these orbs, which is why that's the only guys who are really doing it, is these guys who are doing witchcraft, like Stephen Greer, Chris Bledsoe, and the C5 stuff. It is witchcraft.
Another vessel with a nuclear weapon on it, and that footprint will attract them.
Whoa.
Yeah. So actually, something that your listeners will find fascinating. So Jay actually has a big memoir coming out later this year, Jay Stratton, and it's his tell-all book about his journey down this rabbit hole and investigating UAP and non-human intelligent life for 16 years. And he goes into a lot of detail on this stuff and the learnings that he and his colleagues had about how these things could be lured in, and how elements of our government and other governments have been doing that.
Did they ever talk to you about, or did he ever mention, or anyone ever mention any of the psionic stuff?
No. I've seen other people talk about it online and stuff, but no one ever talked to me about that.
Never heard it.
I'm going to skip here because Danny Jones here says a lot of cuss words, and I try to keep that off the channel as much as possible. Psionics is the big thing. That's what all of these guys are doing. That's what Stephen Greer's doing. That's what Chris Bledsoe's doing. Even the channel who focuses on UFO topics, Vetted, he has a documentary coming out called Psionics, where he's involved with Skywatch. They're going out, they're doing tests, they're doing the psionic stuff with technology and just using their mind and their ability. And a lot of these guys like praying and all this stuff, and but they'll even get into more of it here in a second, of that, what they can do to make these orbs show up. And, it is not good at all. And it just makes no sense why a UFO alien on another planet would show up to these guys going out and doing meditations and chants and psionically trying to focus on these things or whatever. And like they said they can control craft. You can psionically control a craft. Well, they don't land the craft and get in it and get video of the craft, so they can move it around in the sky a little bit, but they can't land it and get on it and all that. So they just are not putting two and two together, that this is it's a spiritual phenomenon. What is happening here? It's not at all physical from other planets. You're not summoning an alien from another planet like they're here to do your bidding whenever you go out and meditate in the woods. I mean, it's not at all the case.
Find out who was spilling the secrets. And then when he heard Michael Carrera give that testimony, this guy realized, he goes, holy, that was doing that. I was like, tell his story and like switch teams. And then that's like the whole,
they talk about
that's as far as what I'm aware of.
I don't know anything about that particular event.
No, that was not Ross Cole. That was a different guy that Jesse Michaels had on.
I don't know about that particular event in the jungle, other than what I've read online once Michael started sharing that. But
the wall
I have
on there
heard
at studio is cool.
About I have heard that there are people who have the ability to communicate using the power of their mind. And I know that probably is like the most wacky sounding thing.
Not at all.
Your listeners are.
Have you seen my library?
I know, but there's certainly going to be some of your listeners who are like, man, that guy's out of his mind, But this is what I've been told by super serious people, there are a bunch of
Just to go into it here about the orb thing, I don't even know, honestly, if I believe that these are UFOs that are a craft that are built and being piloted by an entity inside of it. I don't even know if I believe that, to be honest. I mean, that's what I believed when I used to see them all the time. I thought that they were just UFOs that just appeared as like a light in the distance. I only had one kind of closer encounter, but it wasn't super close. And I don't know, it was too much of a strange encounter to even get into the details. It was just, but I did see it closer, but not close enough to even tell what it was. It still looked just like a ball of light with like what I thought at the time was gravity waves moving around it, but I don't know honestly what it was now at this point. It was just, I don't know exactly, but I don't know what these things are, but there's some sort of spiritual thing because I think they're not, and if they are being piloted by some physical entity inside of it, what I think it is maybe the Nephilim or the fallen angels or some of their offspring. Who knows? They used to live hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Maybe who knows exactly what it is? Maybe these things, who I think probably helped build the ancient sites in the past. So maybe they had some form of technology, and maybe they built this thing that they can control light or something, or not light, but something like that. And then that's what they are. They are in these things, some sort of fallen angel or Nephilim or something. What I definitely don't think is that it's just green guys or gray guys on other planets that just evolved, that God made, who have dominion over us, who sexually harass us, who abduct us, who God didn't mention at all in the Bible that they exist, who no one in the history of the world has mentioned that these things come down and abduct people. It's nowhere to be found in history. So it's like, it doesn't make any sense. And then again, if it really was a physical thing that was evolved on another planet, or God even made it on another planet and more advanced than us, why would it care at all when Chris Bledsoe goes out and prays into the sky and it shows up? These things have a lot better things to do than show up to Chris Bledsoe's house. So they are just some sort of spiritual manifestation. Don't know what it is. They're all evil. That's my opinion. And I really think that all the evidence points to that. I don't think there's any actual evidence that points to anything else. All we're going off of is like a couple guys' testimonies, like Bob Lazar. It's like either you trust what Bob Lazar said and that's it, or you actually trust the evidence, which is that everything points to these things being spiritual. And the whole summoning thing is a massive, piece of evidence in that puzzle.
There's a bunch of really grounded, not a bunch, that's the stupidest way to say it. There's a lot of data that shows that this is a real area of inquiry. So if you get out of the UAP topic for a second, so Stargate, it's a real program that really existed. There is so much evidence of it that's been declassified. Dr. Hal who's in my film, who's very involved in the UAP topic, he ran Stargate. He was tasked with building Stargate. And what Stargate was a program that identified people who have psychic abilities. And they trained them to use their mind's eye to wander to remote locations and to be able to do what's called remote viewing, to see a location remotely. It sounds crazy, right? It just sounds completely bananas. But that was a real program that our government funded. The CIA and DARPA and the Department of Defense funded that for years, and they got actionable intelligence out of it. This is something that Joe Rogan and I talked about this for a while. There's even recordings of past presidents talking about this as a valid thing. Jimmy Carter made a couple statements on it before he died, saying that the military actually acted on intelligence that the remote viewers gave, and it worked. They used it. He famously gave a quote about a remote viewer being used to find a missing airplane, a crashed fighter jet that had fallen off radar. Yeah. And so there's all this data out there that's indisputable that program existed. It was real. There's a there, right? It's a real situation. And so it's not the craziest leap to go from accepting that remote viewing is a real thing, even though it's hard to understand and hard to wrap your head around, to to thinking that maybe people who have those abilities can also communicate from a distance with non-human life. There are people who have told me that is a thing, that there are people who have the ability to do that, and that it's referred to as space intelligence communications.
If you enjoy,
So that's like the remote viewing, the astral projection, the communicating with these other things. And a lot of those things have really bad success rates, even though, you know, the government does use them and the government's been involved with that. There's declassified CIA documents that the government's been doing that stuff for a long time. They definitely did not stop. They still do it to this very day. And they're doing it on every single level. And even when you look at other areas of the government and what they've been involved with, they have been involved in a lot of different things, even NASA and a lot of the guys who helped start it and the jet propulsions aspect of it. Those guys were completely, Jack Parsons, involved in the occult on a massive level, thinking that they're ushering in Babylon and the horror of Babylon and Babylon Rising. And these are the guys who started NASA. So it's like, it's weird, and then it's not weird when you realize that there's such a spiritual thing going on around all this, that there's just so many aspects of this that are spiritual. I mean, everything. It's consistently surrounded by spiritual aspects, and that's no coincidence. You just look at anything else that goes on in our world that we can know for sure is just a physical thing that is happening in our world. I don't know exactly what it's like. I don't know, basketball or something, like just something just completely obviously physical. Like, are there people who are consistently around basketball, who are summoning basketballs, who are astral projecting to figure out how to be the best basketball player, who are remote viewing basketball players in other areas? Like, it's just none of that is surrounding any of this other stuff. So why is it consistently the UFO thing has spiritual things around it, occult guys in it, people who are not following Jesus are obsessed with UFOs and aliens? I mean, it's just like, time and time again, the evidence points to this thing being a spiritual war going on. And I think, just like Andrew said, that these things do change their society, their size and their appearance and a lot of different things in different ways. There's been orbs in the wood. Sometimes, you know, people see Bigfoot in the woods, or the stories of the jinn in the past, and lights in Asia, and yeah, the jinn in the desert and stuff like this. I mean, these are manifesting in different ways at different times to put fear into people, to maybe try to attack people. Maybe the veil tears for a moment, or they break through for a very moment as the veil is getting thinner, maybe, and they're trying to come after people. Something like that, maybe. Maybe they open the wrong spiritual door or something, or there's a principality there and they are there at the wrong time. Who knows all of the different components of the spiritual war going on? But what we do know is Jesus Christ has the power over them all. If you're submitted to him, if you call on him, if you rely on him in these moments, and he steps in the spiritual war, and he is your defender and your protector, which some of these people aren't doing. But I think it's the same exact thing. I think every weird thing that's ever been seen, I think some of these are real. Some of these phenomenon, that people seeing like a Bigfoot or demon dogs or whatever they see, and it just breaks into our reality for a moment, and they're all connected. They are all the exact same thing. It is all the same thing. That's my opinion. I really think that the evidence points to that too. I don't think there's any evidence that points to it being anything else. Now let's watch. I'm pretty sure this is from Weaponized, George Knapp, and Jeremy Corbell's podcast. At least this is George Knapp doing an interview. Let's see. This is posted by Red Panda on X. Doesn't look like he says exactly who it is, but they show this guy here also summoning UFOs. Some pretty incredible summoning footage. A lot of people do this now. I don't think it's a coincidence either that now this is happening. People have been into UFOs for a long time. I mean, when did even just the X-Files, when was that starting on TV? I mean, like the 90s? And people were not summoning them back then, and they weren't getting them on camera. A few guys were, like the Prophet of Yahweh guy. Some people like that, but it's like, once again, why is it happening now more? I think the veil is thinning, and people are starting to connect to the all-power signs and lying wonders of deception happening in our days. That's really what I think is going on. Let's listen and watch this video.
Pretty dramatic episodes and incidents on infrared. Let's walk through some of them. You've got one that that's called the Mothership Fleet. Tell us about that video, October 2017, what the circumstances were, where you were, and what you saw.
Certainly. Thanks, George, for asking about that sighting. That's probably the best reporting I've shot to date. And this took place at Long Beach in Long Beach, California.
Thanks for becoming a member. First name, last name. God bless you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I had just purchased a new home there, and I was in my backyard just doing yard work actually one day when I looked up and saw this tremendous blob of light in the sky, this huge white elongated light. And this looked a little different than most of the normal objects I see, which are typically orbs or circular objects. This was kind of like an elongated tube. Now, when I saw this object, I immediately grabbed my camera, which is an infrared recording camera. I use a Canon SX60, which has been modified to record in full spectrum to see these other ranges of light that we.
This is a pretty crazy, sighting here. Looks like you've got like the TR-3B looking one, the triangle looking craft, and the massive light here. This is some pretty crazy footage here. Not exactly sure who this guy is. And even if some of these guys mixed in are phonies, like even if Chris Bledsoe is a phony, which wouldn't surprise me at all, there's a lot of people who are doing the summoning thing. And, that's really the sad and the scary part of this whole thing, which is why I'm constantly, exposing these guys like Bledsoe and Greer, because they're constantly doing that. And even, what's the worst part about it is you see guys in the comments who are saying stuff like, I downloaded the C5 app and me and my friends, we went out and did it and we saw the lights. This is real. Or people posting videos with like barely any views at all, saying they went out and did the CE5 research stuff and the protocols and the practices, the occult, with the CE5 witchcraft, and they summoned orbs in the sky. And, people who are not doing it for views, not doing it for, to rip people off, like people like Bledsoe could very well be doing. But it's like, man, that sucks, because these people are now led astray and they're deceived. And trust me, if you're an agnostic and then you go out and you do weird new age stuff in the woods, like meditations and chants and stuff, and trying to channel in with the aliens and astral projection and all that weird stuff, and then you start to see stuff, guess what? The next thing that's on your list of trying to figure stuff out is not going to read the Bible. It's, okay, what else is there? Maybe if I do DMT, it'll open my mind more. Maybe if I get some crystals, maybe if I go to Sedona and we try it there, maybe it will get a sighting even better. It just leads you down the wrong path, which shows it's connected to the spiritual war of good and evil. I mean, to me, it's so obvious.
We can't see with our eyes.
Oops, sorry.
For asking about that sighting, that's probably the best reporting I've shot to date. And this took place at Long Beach in Long Beach, California. I had just purchased a new home there, and I was in my backyard just doing yard work actually one day when I looked up and saw this tremendous blob of light in the sky.
That's right, Dave.
This huge white elongated light. And this looked a little different than most of the normal objects I see, which are typically orbs or circular objects. This was kind of like an elongated tube. Now, when I saw this object, I immediately grabbed my camera, which is an infrared recording camera.
I'll be posting a video mentioning CERN on my main channel here very soon, most likely, Lord willing, and mentioning stuff going on at CERN. There is some news, and it's weird.
I use a Canon SX60, which has been modified to record in full spectrum to see these other ranges of light that we can't see with our eyes. So once I put the camera on this big glowing light in the sky, all these smaller orbs were released from the object, which was just fascinating. And I'll add the first 3 objects that came out of this portal of light were in a triangular formation, which is very rare and also a commonality in these sightings for me.
Those triangle then formed like sort of a vertical line. It changed shapes too. So what was that display about? What was going on there?
I don't know much about the crystal skulls. I think L.A. Marzulli did some videos on that. I haven't looked too much into them. Some of that stuff, I don't know about the crystal skulls. There could be some truth to that. I've never really looked into that. I know that the emerald tablets of Thoth the Atlantean are completely false, completely fabricated, obviously proven, beyond a shadow of a doubt, proven to be fake. And then guys like Billy Carson based their entire career off of it. And it's like, dude, it's like so obvious that thing is completely fake. You should probably check in on Billy these days and see what he's up to. I know he's still deceiving. Thank God he got called out to the level he did. I know he even started to go through some hardships in his personal life. We don't necessarily really want that for people. But, you know, I'm not surprised because he's completely lost and he's deceived big time, mega deceived and a huge deceiver. And he got called out big time, which is good. I'm happy. I'm grateful all the people called him out that did. But I should probably check in on what he's up to because he's into the same stuff. Yeah, I don't know what the Crystal Skulls is, but like it's kind of like the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. I'm not sure if it's similar to that, but I know that those are just completely fabricated, made up by a science fiction writer and a car salesman from Colorado. And this dude goes out and writes books, and people pay him thousands of dollars to go to Egypt, and he talks about something that is provenly fake. So insane. Happy that Billy's not deceiving as many people. He got called out big time, but I'm sure plenty of people are still following his lies as we live in a time of deceptive things all the time going on.
They were just trying to wow you?
I think it's just, I'm someone who avidly records these anomalies. I share them with the public, and I believe the more that you record them, the better the performances get. So in this case, I had been recording for about 8 or 9 years before I had this recording. And I just believe it wanted to share that moment with me on film to share with the world. And then the more important point is this triangular formation of objects that came out in the beginning. I've had 3 other sightings that were also triangular formations, and that's a way for us to communicate with each other, to know that we are interacting, and it's kind of a basic form of visual display.
Isn't it? See how they're interacting. They know how we're talking. This is how we're communicating. Yeah, sorry to pause here. If the stream continues on, please let me know in the chat. Isn't it strange that these people think that they can summon things when they can't summon a single thing on Earth? Why doesn't Chris Bledsoe pray and make something show up here on Earth? Like even a pencil, I don't care what it is. Use your intentions and have something show up. And no, it's only the things in the sky. It's only the things in the sky that never land, that never come and tell you stuff, that never come and take you. It's just always this endless floating in the sky and doing stuff in the sky. Is that not so weird? It's not when you understand exactly what's going on. So it's a spiritual deception. Thank you for the super chat, Curtis. God bless you, brother. Yeah, I know. It's hard. I'm the same way. It's hard to not. People are so lost and they say so many things. And when you hear them in the moment, it's hard to not just say things like that because it's just so true. But it's like at the same time, when you see that it's the spiritual deceptions going on in these guys, it's like, man, like Billy is just so lost. I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he was hurt as a kid or something. Why he's like so, because I was exposing Billy Carson for quite a while before a lot of other people, before that whole Wes Huff thing happened. And I'm grateful it happened. You know, the more the better to expose these people. And but Billy was like on this crusade to mock Jesus Christ, and I'm like, you're just not going to sit there and mock Jesus Christ, and I'm going to sit back here and listen to you do it. So I don't know what he's up to now, but he definitely got he got a little bit humbled there, I would say. I'd say big time humbled by that. So yeah, I'll have to check in on what he's up to.
We communicate with.
You had a second one that was another one that's featured on your site, on your website link from March of 2017. These 5 green lights. That video has been shared all over the world. What the heck was that thing?
Thanks, George. Yeah, that was a really profound sighting, and it was actually a close range sighting. It was about 50 feet off the ground at my office in Newport Beach, and I saw this tremendously large object hovering right in my backyard of 5 green spears with a black tower on top of these spears. This tower was about 20 feet tall, and it was the strangest object I've ever seen in my life at close range. Now, I had the opportunity to film this very close, but when I put the camera on it and I hit record, my HD card was full. And so I panicked and I started erasing all the files from my camera, trying to capture this anomaly at close range. By the time I'd erased these files, it had traversed across the yard into the upper atmosphere. And that's when I finally got the lens on it. But as you can see, it performs all types of unusual maneuvers. It had spotlights, and it's something I saw at close range, so I can verify that it was truly an anomaly.
Mikey, what?
You know, and that's what these guys are doing, you know. This is exactly what they're up to. And the Bible does say, do not go out there and try to perform divination, sorcery, summoning things. And I've said it before, and it's so true, man. You could even just go up to like a child who just kind of like, who's just been speaking for like a couple years and say, you know, what is summoning? Who does summoning? Oh, a wizard. You know, a witch summons stuff. Even kids understand that this is a spiritual thing. You cannot just summon things. That's what I mean. Like, none of these guys are summoning their family for Thanksgiving. Oh, instead of like having to fly there, they're not summoning themselves to Thanksgiving dinner every year. It's only the lights in the sky. That's how do they not get that, man? It's so weird. You don't think the Greys have something better to do? The reptilians don't have something better to do than just show up when you go out and say, and then why don't they land and talk to you, man? They just want to fly up in the sky all the time? Like, come on. No, it's because it's a spiritual deception, and what it does is it leads you away from the biblical truth, whether people want to believe that or not. I don't care if Chris Bledsoe sits there on Sean Ryan's podcast and talks like it's like a sweet old man and says he loves Jesus, but then also tells you things like the Holy Spirit is Hathor, a false god from Egypt, and so is the Virgin Mary. It's like, you know what Jesus told us? That wolves will come in sheep's clothing. That's what everyone says. Chris Bledsoe, so sweet. He is so nice. He sounds like such a sweet man. Yeah, guess what? Wolves don't always come to you like ravenous wolves. Sometimes they look like sheep. And I think that that's what's going on there, big time. And even if it's not, if he's deceived, I pray his eyes will be opened. But it's like, come on, dude. Like, the things don't land. They don't care about you enough. They don't land. They don't take you. They don't reveal anything to you. He says he sees the lady every Easter. Why is there no video of it? Oh, she doesn't let me video of it. Oh, just like Joseph Smith was able to read the golden tablets and no one else could? Okay. So it's like a cult then. And you're the leader. It's like, come on. If you just sit and think for a little bit about this stuff, it becomes very clear what's going on. This is kind of related. No video here. We'll end this off on this. I had it pulled up about just summoning UFO and stuff. And these guys, I know I've seen one of these guys before. I guess this guy, Mark Pincus, is a billionaire. One of the other guys sitting up here, I'm pretty sure, is a billionaire. Just these guys talking about the summoning UFO thing.
Some friends of mine went to a gathering and it was on multiple things related to this. And they said that this guy was there and that he summoned one of these. They kind of said it looked like a large drone. And my friends showed me some pictures that they took, which were really, it was at night and they were really grainy.
Come on, stop.
I'm not making this up. I'm just telling you.
Just one piece of advice with this documentary film stuff.
Hang on. Sorry. I want to make sure I'm not missing things in chat here. Falling away. Yeah, it's true that there's summoning stuff. They talked about the witch at Endor at church today. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, she was summoning too. You look at that, it's same thing. Same exact thing. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure not missing anything. Yeah. Yeah, there's a separation. There's a lot of things going on, you know, and I try to be clear, and I hope that it comes across. I know I say it a lot, but I'll say it again. Let's be sure that we're aware that as we go into these times and all this stuff is happening as it is, that we understand like some of these things are demons, some of these things are demonic, some of these things are maybe fallen angels, some of these things are principalities and powers and spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. Maybe some of these are manifestations of the Antichrist's all power signs and lying wonders. Maybe some of the veil thinning. The false prophet will perform signs. The demonic spirits that go out of the mouth of the beast in the book of Revelation, they perform signs too to lead the kings of the earth astray. So there's a lot of different spiritual things that are going to be happening in our physical reality, manifestations of things, supernatural miracles that are satanic and not from God, deceptions, the Antichrist healed of a deadly head wound. So many spiritual things and supernatural things are going to happen in our future that will make that people will say, look, we can do this. Here's the supernatural. It's happening. And it's not going to be from God. And so there's going to be a lot of that happening. More of that will be happening. And so we have to be discerning, on alert. And, you know, wolves in sheep's clothing do sometimes say that Jesus is Lord, is the Christ. But if you talk to them long enough, you can hear and discern they do not believe that he is the God of what he says in the Bible. Which is why you got to be close. There's a lot of ravenous wolves who have led people astray, who come to the church, who are not actually followers of Jesus, false prophets and things like this. And so we can't be caught off guard when some of them do that. When they come on and they talk like, oh yeah, Jesus, just because somebody says Jesus or that they follow Jesus, obviously we know. That does not mean that they do. And people are going to do that more. And that could even be what Jesus meant when he said that people are going to say that he is the Christ and not that they are the Christ. I forget the exact verse, but it's like they might even be saying Jesus is the Christ, but guess what? They're also led astray. A lot of people say that and they don't know what it means. You know, David Wilcock was saying the same thing too. He was saying that he believed that Jesus was the Son of God and you can be saved through Jesus, but then he thought he was Jesus too, and that he was God, and you can become God yourself, and you can be like Jesus. And what's coming in the future is a great awakening to the truth, to us being like Jesus and Christ consciousness coming. So you can talk about Jesus and be completely off the mark. That's why it's so important to read your Bible every single day and pray to God every single day and listen to different preachers all the time. Don't just listen to one preacher. No one preacher has ever said it all right. Listen to different preachers. And this way you can get understanding and insight into what the Bible says, what God really means, and he will lead you in the truth. Because there's going to be massive, and there already is, massive deceptions. They're going to only increase, and I want everybody, as many people as possible, to be safe from those deceptions.
You know how to make $100 million in documentary films, right, Pincus?
Yeah, start with $1 billion.
Start with $1 billion. You're the mark in all of this. You're just a mark. This guy needs $1 million to finish his house or something in Topanga Canyon.
Fair.
And you're the way to do it.
Look, I didn't fund
You're the mark.
I didn't fund it.
Okay, good.
So all I'm saying is that I think that there's a possibility that there is
looking for
some kind of drone
believe.
that's getting that is showing up, and I'm not saying it's even from from non-human making.
I believe it. I am looking, I'll be honest, because I am looking for a reason to believe in this. I'll be honest. Like, I know my bias. I am very sympathetic when I hear these stories. I listen way too long, to the podcasts on this stuff.
Are you donating to Alex Jones?
No, but
are you a subscriber?
No, but okay, how about this?
Great place to cut it off, right? It's just, now we have these guys who are massive, billionaires and multimillionaires who are the heads of companies and founded massive companies who are talking about summoning UFOs. This guy here, I've seen him before. I forget exactly what company he's involved with. But he's saying he's believing, he's looking into it, trying to see what's going on. This is a common thing. This is happening. This is becoming part of our, the world and the reality that we live in right now. And why is that? Look at the times. Look at the times that we're in. I mean, it's no coincidence this is now happening at this time. People have been in UFOs for a long time. When I was seeing the orbs on a regular basis, doing the whole summoning thing, it was like 2008 or 7. It was a long time ago. And I never even saw people who did that or thought that. I thought I had some weird connection with these things. I don't know. I thought that was it. I don't know. It was weird, dude. It was a weird time. And at the same time, then I started watching all this UFO stuff, and then I was thinking, okay, I don't know. There was a lot of weird stuff going on anyway. But it's like, man, this stuff has gone on, and now this is common though. I'd never heard of it. I haven't heard of summoning UFOs until the past few years, and I've been in this whole thing for a while, man. And it's like, it's no coincidence that this is happening at this exact time. It's just a part of the times, the deceptions going on in our day, and it's just moving forward very quickly. And I just really highly advise everyone to be on high alert on everything involved with this. I think the phenomenon is 100% spiritual. And even if there is a 1% chance that God decided to create beings on other planets that have dominion over us, that he never mentioned to us, that aren't mentioned in the Bible, that he didn't mention would be coming in the later times, abducting and revealing to people, questioning our faith. He didn't mention any of that. Even if he did, I don't care. And I still don't like them. And I still think they're evil. And I still have no part in them. And I don't like them. And they won't be in the new heavens and the new earth. And if they are, they'll be different because they're all evil. Why would God just create evil beings in the universe and that's their only purpose? God is good. He's a creator of good things. Evil only entered into the world because of the sin of mankind, and Satan came and people listened to him. That's the only reason there's even evil here. It's supposed to be all good with God, but that's how evil entered. So it doesn't make sense to me that God would create these things that do evil. That's the only thing they do is evil. They don't do good. And they teach the occult. They teach occult knowledge. They lead people away from the truth. It's just none of it makes sense that God would do that. I have a really hard time seeing how God could do that. It just doesn't add up in any sense. Biblically, it makes zero sense. I don't know. And the evolution, I don't even believe in evolution. So why I don't believe that. So it's not that. And then why would he do that? Why would he allow that? It's just there's someone God does tell us who steals, kills, and destroys. That's Satan, which is pretty much everything that happens in an abduction encounter. Nobody gets abducted and enjoys the encounter. First off, they're stolen from their home. They think they're going to be killed. They think they're going to be destroyed, and it destroys their faith, it destroys their peace. So who do we know kills, steals, and destroys? Satan does. That's what aliens do. I mean, when you do the big picture and you biblically look at everything, it makes sense. You can understand everything in life through the Bible. And just because God didn't say everything, just because it doesn't say in the Bible, should I watch football on Sundays? You can look and just say, okay, you can enjoy your time. You're worthy to rest, or don't spend too much time doing this and be lazy. You're also supposed to work. You can discern everything through the Bible. You just have to use it. Just because it doesn't spell it out perfectly, you can paint the picture with what he has given us. And I think the picture is painted. These are 100% evil. And I think all the evidence points to that too. That's it here, guys, for this stream. Appreciate all of you guys being on here. Curtis, thank you for the very kind super chat. Thank you to the members. Thank all of you guys for being here and hanging out on this Sunday evening. Wanted to say, actually, begin this happy Mother's Day to any mothers watching. And God bless you guys. Thank you. I see you all the regular watchers. Appreciate you being here. Guys, I pray you're all safe and blessed. And thank you for the kind comments and being engaging in the chat. And yeah, thanks for being here. And we'll have more streams coming. Appreciate you guys. God bless in Jesus' name.